Locals to local, we cover our own underground classics from our favorite time zone. Along with our guests, we'll take you back in time. It's the 709 Rewind with Richie and Brian.
Wow, guys, this is amazing.
Well, right, this is almost like hanging out.
Isn't it?
It's like a hangout.
Yeah.
Oh, Phil. Oh.
Hold on.
I'll take it.
Right up your nose.
I need to capture this.
Okay, yeah, so I'm recording here now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, I'll give.
You go ahead and capture it.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
I have a couple as well.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep much of your time, but welcome everyone. And I'm happy that you're all here. I'm just doing a little bit of an introduction. I'm following your guideline here, Keith. So I don't know if you all knew or if you just found out, like Brian and I, we've been doing co-video, collective videos, and I figure to make more of something our own, our local community, was to apply that same model to reviving old local classics. And so we started off when I first got into the music scene back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s as a kid, and saw you guys like that. Like that was my heyday of seeing bands play. So we want to give back. I want to give back to what I enjoyed. So this is what we're doing, is we're doing 709 Rewind. What we're doing here is we're redoing the music that we played, and we're randomly like picking out band members that were interested in playing it. So I'm thankful that all you who played with this video was on board. And I also invited a few people here that were around, like that were listening to Bung. And I have Ellen Beth Reed, and Rachel Stevenson. How do we want to do the introductions? I we have Bung here, and we have like John Whalen, we have Phil Winter, and we have Arthur Haynes. Winters with a Z.
There's more than one of me.
And Sean Panting. We have Andrew Waterman and Keith Jackman. And Brian and I. I'm just going to start off with just I'd like to get our experiences, like my first experience, and I just want to go through everybody's experiences or like just telling little stories and stuff of back in the day. And,
Oh boy!
So, am I talking too much here? I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm not good at
You're killing it.
You're doing good.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. This is my first time. It's like a TED Talks for me.
Well, Richie, we got a lot of people in here this time.
Okay.
Last time there wasn't as many, so I can see why you're a bit nervous.
Yeah, does it sound like you're trapping someone, Brian?
What?
It sounds like you're trapping someone. You're like, we've got a lot in here this time, Richie.
Oh yeah.
So I reached out to Andrew Waterman, or you are in a band called Monster Baiter.
Yeah.
Hands down, the best band name ever.
That is
Deadly band too.
No. It's even better. It was nominated by the Scope as the best band name and the worst band name at the same time.
Right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's a good range to have. That's why it's the best band name.
That's right.
Yeah. And I had to reach out to him because I love his singing style. It's in that parallel kind of style as John's. But the first time I saw Andrew play was he was taking his clothes off while he was performing at I'm not sure where it was. It was some bar, and that stuck to me. So I have
the clothes stuck to you.
My clothes, yeah.
Oh, not the clothes.
His clothes stuck to you.
The memory.
The clothes are about the best thing that could have stuck to you.
That sounds
Yeah.
pretty
Everything
wonderful.
else is.
You got to leave with a free T-shirt. That's awesome.
Keith, you were around the same time as me growing up with the music community as well.
First time I really came aware of Bung probably would have been around 93, I guess. About a year before I joined After Forever in 1994. And a friend of mine said, hey, you got to see this band. It was downtown. I'm pretty sure it was Sam Shades.
Yeah.
That's my recollection anyway.
Yeah, we played.
So he drags me into this club, and I'd never seen the band before. And I, the crowd was just going mental. It was anarchy. And the band was on. It was absolutely awesome. And that kind of got me into wanting to play original music myself, because up and then I've been playing covers mostly. So that was my first Bung experience.
And Sam Shades, they had that car, right? I think I was
right.
seeing that show before.
Trouble
for
well, I say I saw the band, but I was up on that top level that they had.
Yeah.
And I think I saw mostly John's legs. Because the stage was kind of hidden.
Yeah.
Cool. So we also have Sean, who's been around same time, and I remember seeing Sean playing when I first walked into Bar None. That's where you were just finishing up a set before it was like death metal night on a Sunday night. I think that's where I first saw Don Ellis and Paul Cornu playing, and one of the guitar guys, Larry Fowler.
Crazy Larry.
And all he did was
that was Crazy Larry.
So yeah, that was my first experience meeting Sean or seeing Sean there. So Sean.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw kind of every iteration that led up to Bung, and I saw Schizoid with Phil a lot, and I'm a contemporary of all of those guys. And the two things that I think about when I think about Bung, one, I really, after a while, got very, very tired of having every gig I ever had. We'd book a gig, and then then somebody'd go, "Oh, you know who's playing that night?" And they were like, "Oh, great,
no,
great." We're getting 8 people getting blown out by Bung again, and it happened all the time. It drove me insane. And the other thing, when we would leave the island and play, and we'd go to Ontario or go to Nova Scotia or whatever and play. There was always it'd always be multi-band bills, and there was always a band on the bill that was kind of like doing this like nihilist rock extravaganza thing, like badass rock and roll. And we always tried to represent as best we could. But my thought whenever I would see one of those bands is I'd go like, man, I wish Bung was here just to eat these guys, just eat them alive. I've actually seen nobody that did that thing better anywhere.
We like eating bands.
Oh man, they taste
Yummy
salty, salty and fatty, wetty.
You were like the buffet eater of band eaters.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when I first met you. I was talking to John about the first night. I turned 19, and John Rowe and my sister took me to the Loft. And when I first walked in there and saw these hairy guys and mean looking playing and screaming and hanging off the pipes on the top of the stage, I was a little scared. But after meeting you all, I can't believe how like very open and nice you are and welcoming to me, and that kind of like that's one of the things I reference to as being accepted with the alternative music scene when I was growing up, or like trying to fit in everywhere here. So
it was always.
Well, we're glad you
failed,
found
Richie.
It was
You don't
always
fit
like
in, Richie.
I don't. I'll never fit in.
Oh, Richie.
Oh, we'll find a spot for you, dude.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So, so Rachel and Ellen, I have them here too because I just didn't want. I didn't want just band talk or whatever. I wanted the perspective of like people who loved listening and went to your shows like religiously.
Okay, well, I was that weird poetry girl that used to sit in the back of the loft on top floors of Sam Shades with some loose sleeves and a marker and write down all my thoughts because I never had the nerve to actually be in the mosh pit or be up close. I was always in the back kind of watching it all and going, oh my God, what is this? And it's so amazing because, I know everybody, I know like 90% of the people at the shows were guys, but the 10% or 20% that were women were like, you have to understand that Rachel and I were 17, 18, 19. This was like our first kind of sexual experience. So it was a whole other thing. And I'm sitting there like, boys, now, hi. Anyway, but I wrote a lot about it and I published a lot about it and later on, but Rachel had a much different, she had the more ballsy experience that I had. So.
Oh God. My first time setting foot in a bar, I have to tell you this story. Okay, this is my story. I was in what grade were we in? Grade 10? Grade 11?
12.
Was it grade 12? Okay. So almost not really of age. And Ellen and I were going to go to Bar None. And Ellen decided not to go at the last minute. And I went by myself. I had no idea what I was going into. I'd never set foot in a bar before. Do you remember that show, I think it was the first annual AIDS benefit night?
Yeah.
You remember that show?
Did I dance on broken glass at 3 o'clock in the morning? Yeah.
Oh my God. And I've never set foot in a bar in my life. I'm like this little girl. I'm standing on a chair with Carol and Nicholas, and we're watching you and the amazing Glenn do this voodoo ceremony.
Right.
And then he's like dancing on your stomach. And I'm like, this is amazing. And like, she's hiding. She's like hiding in my hair. And like, oh my God, look. And then you just jumped in the air and you're like, let's fucking rock and roll. And I'm like, I'm in love with rock music now. Oh my God. And then that was it. I got in so much trouble because my family thought I was with Ellen, and they found out I was alone. And this is what happened. My mother freaked out. She's like, you're at Bar None by yourself. Oh my God. And then my father said, congratulations. I'm very proud of you. So that was the beginning of my experience in bars. And
sometimes young girls would be let into the gig and sometimes they wouldn't let them. Sometimes, depending on the night, when we were 16, 17, 18, that we wouldn't be allowed to be into the gig because we were underage girls.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I lived at those shows like it was almost every 2 weeks at one point. It was just like, oh my God. I broke my foot in the mosh pit right before going to college. And I broke my foot. I was
going to ask if you'd gotten injured in the mosh pit. You were saying, I've heard of, girls particularly getting hurt in the mosh pit.
Because I was in the mosh pit every time.
Yeah.
So I was in there with all the big men. Some big fat guy jumped on my foot. I didn't feel anything because I was so adrenalized. I wasn't even drinking. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I was totally straight edge at that point. Didn't drink, So I'm just like having a great time. Wake up the next day, my foot hurts. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not broken. I go back to another Bung show. And I think it was Peace Accord. And I'm in the middle of this thing and my foot, the bone shifts. And I'm like, oh fuck, my foot's broken, but I'm not leaving. So I just planted my feet and I danced like this. And then they carried me to the hospital after because I'm like, I'm not leaving the show. My foot's broken. I don't fucking care. It was like, that was it. And then cast and, the whole thing. So it was like a major, major, major part of my life for a while. Awesome.
Can I just say I'm really enjoying this a lot?
I am too.
Yeah.
I was nervous a little.
I got to make I just got to interrupt here. When you were talking about seeing John swinging on the bars in the loft or on the water pipes, I used to think he was always going to get into trouble, and then one day he's running the bar, and it's like, yeah, no. He's allowed to hang on these however long he wants. It's crazy. Anyway,
I always enjoyed the mic cable noose. The loft was like ideal for that kind of shit. Chris Bastone actually knocked himself nearly unconscious on that pipe one night, which was super hilarious. But the noose thing was. I always waited for that. Thanks for the memories, man.
What I found really interesting is both Arthur and Phil used to tuck in their shirts when they played.
Yeah, the bookends from hell.
I have no recollection of that.
No,
I mean, either.
Did you wear shirts when you played?
When they did have shirts, I'm pretty
with
sure.
them, but we weren't finished with them. That's for sure.
Pretty sure your shirts.
Yeah,
were
I don't
tucked
recall
in.
a lot of shirts. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Neatness counts. Neatness
And there
counts.
was a summer when none of the girls wore tops either.
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry, Ellen?
The summer that I think was 93, that it was cool for chicks not to have their tops on the mosh pit. That was a big trend.
I can tell you exactly how that began, and it started with there was a female artist who she was doing a touring show that was very sex positive, basically.
Yeah.
It meant to be very feminist and empowered and all that kind of thing. And she involved a bunch of the local artsy girls, including Aaron and basically a bunch of our friends. She made involved like a breast fashion show at some point and stuff like this. So anyway, the girls were all getting very comfortable with taking their tops off. And then we played a battle of the bands at the curling club, and things went really awry with the bouncers. They, for some reason, started getting rough with the people in the mosh pit while we were playing. And as a kind of a feminist passive resistance gesture, some of these same women started taking off their shirts and sort of like daring these bouncer guys to touch them. And then, so it was like that kind of, weird magnetic, attraction repulsion thing. Anyway, so that was the summer of the girls taking off the tops a lot. I
You could argue that Bung was really a pro-feminist band, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
And
Yeah.
Albert Faith won that battle of the bands, didn't they?
Yes.
They did.
Yes, they are.
I remember.
Nice
Got
guys.
by with a little help from their friends.
Yes, a little bit of help from their friends and family and all that. But Albert Faith were great guys, and they were a good band.
That's the song that they actually won with.
What's that?
They won with the Joe Cocker cover.
Right. That's right.
Wow.
So they did. They did have their own stuff.
Yeah.
Are you guys reminiscing about Battle of the Bands right now?
Well,
more so
this thing got nasty. Barry kicked the bouncer in the back of the fucking head. It made the newspapers of terrible rock band starts riot at Battle of the Bands and stuff because one of the bouncers threw Liz Picard on the floor.
Yeah.
And Barry and Liz were living together at the time, and Barry, like a reflex, just like put his foot right in the back of the motherfucker's head, and I don't blame him. And then the whole thing went completely to shit. Right? And everything stopped. And Justin, who's not with us here tonight, Justin kept the fucking beat going all the way through it. There's video after. And it's
This
just
was during a
there's
song?
fucking kick drum going all the way through. I believe we were playing Barry It when it all went through.
Awesome.
Let's just say we were. Let's just say that.
We might as well. I'm pretty sure we were. And, so basically, there was the standoff on the stage, and Dave Carver came up and, kind of settled everything down and husked his henchmen away and stuff. And, Justin was keeping the beat the whole time. Barry started thumping on the bass and boom, boom, and we finished the fucking song and we finished the set. Anyway,
Sounds like a good drummer.
We were all shirtless that time. I know because Dave Carver said something bad about sweaty, arrogant, shirtless rock bands or not. I believe Sean used the word nihilistic, and we were definitely about that.
Yeah.
That's very much, it was a bad world. It still is.
I just got to pipe in here.
Barry had a great alternate name for Bung, actually. He said we should call ourselves Poultice. Because what we exist to do is to suck the point. Like, we take the anger and the hurt and all that in a person's soul, and we create a collective, church, anti-religious experience for a crowd of people that actually exercises their demons. And I definitely believe that's very much what we were about, And
Frank
it wasn't
Berry.
just us; it took everybody to do that. Everybody in the mosh pit, everybody in the back of the room, going, writing it down. Going, these people are fucking nuts. All that to sort of make that thing happen.
Holy fuck!
It was fun. And by the way, I've seen Monster Baiter. You guys are fucking awesome. And
Thanks, buddy.
That's another thing. I'm super honored to be done by you guys. Like, every one of you is a formidable talent in your own right. And it's just like, this town, I fucking love this town. We've got an incredible scene here.
I was gonna say, like, I've never heard of you guys or whatever. That's it.
Yeah, well, you're a lot younger than us.
But like, it was really interesting to know. I had heard of you guys actually. Like, I went down and bought my first guitar at Boogaloo when it was on Duckworth. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Anyways, I seen a used CD because I guess someone didn't want this CD or whatever, so it was a Bung CD, and I was like, wow, no one wants this CD. And I thought, but it's cheap, so maybe I could buy it or whatever. Anyways, I didn't buy it. And then 2 weeks ago, I heard Bung for the first time when Richie asked me to sing this song. And I really liked your lyrics a lot. You wrote them, right?
Yeah. I wrote
John,
almost all of them, yeah.
Yeah. So, I noticed that there's a lot of similarities well, first of all, in the way the music is in general, and then of course I felt like we're kindred spirits in a lot of ways with when I read your lyrics, because I feel like there's definitely the ability for them to be misinterpreted.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I would love to hear somebody. I feel like I've been the only person but yeah, just
sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a bit in Bury that speaks to that, really specifically. I remember Arthur's sister told me that she saw written in somebody's textbook at school, so she was going to Gonzaga at the time.
It's on her book. Somebody wrote
was
it
it
on
in her book? Somebody wrote it in her book. Anyway, somebody last
I saw it.
So that in the line in the song Bury, there's in the refrain, it says, those who wait for 98 when Charlie Manson's time is served will tell you Sharon Tate got just what she deserved. Now, that's meant to be a thing about people are fucking stupid and they'll fall for just about any crazy goddamn thing, and people are talking a lot of shit out there, basically, is what it meant,
Yeah, but all that was written on the book was Sharon Tate got just what she deserved.
So for somebody to kind of, so that's when you sort of worry. What is it that Chris Cornell wrote in Hands All Over the Words I Utter, change them into things you want to, like balls of clay, give your head away, right? Hey, look at that. Right? Gorgeous. Love it. Fucking Deadly Band. Great album. Love those guys.
Great album.
Yeah, no, the 90s were awesome. I mean, I don't know what's been really going on lately. It seems like, rock and roll is not a thing that the kids are doing much anymore. I mean, my kid loves fucking music, but he makes it all on the computer now with Fruity Loops and Cubase artists and stuff.
It's kind of a heritage.
He play instruments, but he doesn't.
Some of the
It's gotten
kids
to be
are
like a heritage thing.
It is. They're into classic rock. Some of the kids are into classic rock. They go back and they're listening to stuff.
Well,
But
I mean,
funny,
I'm thinking of
there's
my
a
15-year-old. Now, my 19-year-old, he is very all about the organic music making.
But
My kid's 3. He loves the Wiggles.
What's missing a lot of times is the danger, right? And the rock and roll, the danger is because that's something I always appreciated, hauling it back to Bung once again. That's something I always appreciated about the live show was, there was always this slight chance. It's like, are we making it to the end of this thing? Or is, are we,
Right.
are we making it to the end? And no matter how aggressive the sound or how aggressive the lyrics or how rock and roll all the gestures are for a lot of music that people are making, that it's that it's never going off the rails.
Safe.
And I think that's the essence of it. You know, it's so it's become like heritage music, where like blues music, where you're only allowed to use certain kinds of guitars with certain kinds of sounds and have certain kinds of lyrics on certain kinds of topics, and it sounds like this and only like that, or it's no good.
It's interesting that you say that, Sean, because I was putting my thoughts together, and very much like yours, in that, you know, when I think about, you know, why Bung and why not anybody else that was in the scene, why did I find it so impactful? It's exactly what you're talking about. It was, the music was right at the edge of, you know, maybe this thing is going to come apart. But in fact, these guys that are on the call and the couple that are not here, they were toying with us because they were master musicians the entire time. And, you know, there was a lot of labels going on at the time. To me, they were a rock band, and it's still some of my favorite rock music. But it's not just rock; it's rock and roll, because there's a roll going on too. When you hear Justin and Barry playing together, there's a swing to that music that's going on.
Yeah. No,
right?
we did. It's too bad they're not here, but we had a deadly fucking rhythm section.
Yeah.
And they
Absolutely.
had a real you know, simpatico between the two of them, like a real a tight musical relationship. In fact, Bung wasn't the only thing they played together.
Yeah, this was published in the news in March of 1993. So I remember writing this. This isn't Green Lights. I don't even know what happened to Green Lights. It's another one.
Oh, it's not Green Lights.
No, it's not another one. This was written, I'm pretty sure I wrote this sitting on a table at the loft one night. And so, yeah, and just I tried to capture like the sexual tension of what I was feeling when I was 17 or 18. Martin never actually went to any Bung gigs. I just dragged him into this.
I grew up in Grand Falls.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, you know,
so
I mean, wherever you are, it's all sexual tension all the time.
All sexual all the time. Yeah. So
I'm in Portugal Cove right now, and I have sexual tension.
Well, good.
So here goes. So the title of it was My First Sensual Supernatural Experience in the Smoke-Filled and Lavender-Lighted Brazilian Rainforest. And it basically was about talking about Bung playing at the Loft, probably in the fall of 92 or something. Okay. The barefooted, crazed witch doctor, screaming rock demon, possessed by every martyred rock idol ever to walk the primal beat of earth, skillfully conjuring spirits in his mind under the panting heat of the rainforest. The tribe of pagans dance wildly with each bead of perspiration from his intense concentration, tries to achieve a new level out-of-body experience, trying desperately to create a state of anarchy, trying to kill himself in front of this motley, throbbing mass of aborted scholars, trying to control an unseen, uncontrollable creative entity, trying to have a supernatural, sexual, spiritual experience with the same unseen creative spirit. And the corpse of hungry vultures look down on all the scene and smile to themselves at the smell of the kill. And just as I anticipate being swept into the throbbing mass of heathens, I am distracted by the sound of church bells. I wrote that when I was 17.
Excellent. Excellent.
So the muse. So I think by the time I was 20, I had published 100 different pieces of poetry, all about downtown and downtown stuff. And so, yeah, it's all in binders, and very little of it is on the internet. So, yeah. So thank you for inspiring that, all you guys.
Wow.
Thank you.
Glad you asked.
Yeah.
It's a wonder what a $3 cover can get you. Anyway.
$3 cover.
$3 cover.
Well, hopefully you felt you got your money's worth.
I did, sir. Thank you very much.
We had every bit as much fun as you did.
Oh,
I think you could probably tell, and you nailed the spirit of it. You know,
thank you.
It's too bad we couldn't lure you back from those church bells, but
we probably did the next week.
Right on.
I remember writing poetry while sitting on a table in the back of the loft and being so into it. And one time, I had a marker and I was intensely writing stuff, and I was intensely writing some stuff so strongly that suddenly the whole table collapsed underneath me. There was about 4 of us who were suddenly on the floor, just
remember that
the back of the place. So, but yeah, so it wasn't. I know I wasn't in the middle of the mosh pit because I was a wimp, but I was having my own experiences in the back of the bar. So thank you for that. Yep.
I remember seeing you at the shows, and no, you weren't in the mosh pit, but you were either like, back by the soundboard and lit up, or you're over on the side of the stage in the area where like you were kind of safe there. You could see the show really well. It's basically where we used to, especially at the Loft, we'd always usually be hanging out back there watching one another play, like watching Hardship Post and Popmaster and Liz.
Yep.
It's fun. And After Forever, and I believe we played with Potato Bug there back in the day, Rich, if not like at least once or twice. And then poor old Freddie, when Freddie died.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad. That's sad.
Yeah.
Sad. I miss Fred. I miss him to this day.
I've always wondered what he would be doing now. Like, would he still be into the music, or would he?
Guaranteed.
Without a
Probably. Might be a producer. It'd be a producer or something. If we were
God knows what he actually would have done career-wise. He definitely would have. It was too native to his soul for him to ever leave.
What was that, Phil?
I'd say he'd be doing this.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, he probably would. Yes, he'd probably be here.
He'd keep us here all night.
Well,
he would.
You bet.
Well,
we could be here all night. We never know.
So Phil's got to go to sleep soon. So let's.
No.
Phil has to
we
go
still have to watch this video version.
Yes. Okay. Here's the plan. Okay, we're gonna take off here. I guess Brian, you're gonna have to send off another link. It's 10:14 here. Let's get you guys to watch it, or did you want to watch it here and we can see your reactions? Is your computer?
Can't you share your screen and sound?
If we do it through the screen here, it might be little staggered, so I want them to have a bit of a better.
So how do we find it online?
Okay, I will post it. Here is the link.
Place we
That was deadly.
The
I like the Barbie.
that was Jeff and Allison doing that.
Oh yeah, awesome.
I reached out.
What's with the carrot? Like,
Yeah, I like the
awesome.
carrots. I like the
Yeah,
carrots. Cutting up the
that's
carrots. Cutting up
really,
the carrots.
really
Cutting up the carrots.
That's so great.
Andrew messages me, "Do you think I could do this while I'm cooking?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Great cooking.
It makes sense. It
It's
makes
like
You were working the celery. It was great. The celery thing,
Yeah,
so good.
opposite directions,
that's actually heard.
magnificent.
Yeah, I like this line.
I love getting all the edits that Richie would send me. Richie would send me like new edits. He's like, oh wait, now I got a final cut. And then the last one, it was just like, okay, this is nuts. This is wild. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's such an honor to do this. That yeah, it's been my favorite one by far.
I haven't sang in fucking so long. And like this destroyed my voice. And it just felt so nice. It has been so nice to do this. I feel like
that was wicked.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it hurts the throat. Hey, Andrew.
Yeah,
You
those,
can't.
it hurts. I do that when I
dude,
sing
you
too. It hurts.
Totally went for it,
Yeah.
which is
And
great.
you really channeled that, key 90s aggression that you applied for. So you did a really good job. Like,
Well done, guys.
Okay, now how do I X out of this? Okay, hang on now. Okay, there we go. X out of that. Oh, there it is. I brought it up twice, no less. There we go.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Andrew. Andrew, I gotta say, I love the symbolism of the slicing the carrot. That's like subversive against all the idioms of pop rock that you can possibly think of. So
I was
Nice.
really going for the symbolism with that.
Yeah, no,
I didn't actually have to make food or anything. I was just going for the
right.
symbolism.
You just wanted to slice up the carrot. No, that's really good.
I like the spiraling. That was beautiful.
So,
Yeah,
Bob,
no, that was a lot of fun. Deadly
You guys
job.
did grand
Thanks.
job. You guys
Yeah.
did.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
but yeah, like I reached out to the people in here because it had a little bit of meaning to me. Like I went and asked Sean to play guitar because I remember playing with you in other bands like Dre's Eye Test and like you were a big like Bung fanatic because I used to hear you singing it all the time and whenever we jam.
I think Bung fanatics are called bungholes.
Oh
Yes.
I think it's called the Scum Tribe.
That's
Only
certainly
we
what
can
we
use that
wrote.
word.
Scum tribe.
Right.
Scum
And,
tribe.
I think it says a lot for the song and for the music in general about, when I hear it, the original versions, they sound as fresh to me now as they did almost 30 years ago. It's very, very good rock music. And I think a testament to that might be that, Andrew never heard this stuff up until 2 weeks ago, but it was organic enough and intuitive enough in rock and roll form to grasp it and be able to perform it like that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's really neat how
when Richie mentioned that, sorry, Richie.
Oh, go ahead.
When you mentioned that Andrew was going to be singing it, it was like, yeah, that's the perfect voice for it.
Yeah, it's neat how like we're trying to do a full circle of kind of like passing on like what we grew up listening to others, and like even airing this tomorrow, like people that haven't heard of Bung before are like, oh, cool, who's this? And they were around, and like it's,
Well, Mark
it's just
grew
gonna.
up in Grand Falls, and he even heard about Bung all the way up that way.
Yeah.
And there was all that was out that
Pretty
way.
good.
Only Twitty music. So,
Yeah, two guys in a drum machine. So, what interests
I
me-
always wished we'd played more around
good.
Newfoundland. Actually, we
Yeah.
played St. John's. We played Cornerbrook once when they had snow job going on out there. But other than that, it was like St. John's and then boom, Halifax, and then points beyond that, such as we ever did any touring.
Right.
What did
And I that's something I if I have one major regret, I think it's that we didn't play more Bay bars because I think they would have fucking loved it. Actually.
Oh my God, they would have eaten it up.
They would have.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, well, oh well. That's it. What are you gonna do?
You guys would have killed it at Legends.
Yeah.
Yes, and the Flyers Club out in Gander.
The two different guitar parts, especially the
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, well, that was sort of taken from just a horror movie trope type of thing.
It really portrays that.
Like repetition. We were smoking a lot of weed and repeating stuff.
It was meant to symbolize our descent into madness, Richie. Our ambling, slowly spiraling.
Right.
There was a lot of repetition.
Meandering into madness.
Who wrote most of the riffs and I'm guessing John did a lot. You wrote the lyrics over the music that was written.
A lot of the time, the writing process, I think Barry, it actually might be a little bit different. I don't know, maybe not. I can't quite remember. Oftentimes, what we do is the guys come up with riffs, and I just they'd lay out the meter, and I'd have something that I wanted to write about back then when I cared about stuff, and
And a lot of repetition.
Back when I believed that music could still change was a societal force and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It can. It can, you old man. It can.
Can it? Are you sure?
I'm not so sure.
Me.
Well, no. I mean, no. It definitely can. I'll tell you one thing I was thinking about a lot recently when David Bowie died was all the stuff that those sort of 70s glam rockers with their gender bending thing did for the whole gay rights movement in the 70s and 80s, because basically lots of the steel toe boot crowd would go, well, I don't know if he's gay or not, but I like his music, so I suppose he's all right. And that that was a major cultural shift that happened in our generation that I'm really, really happy about, actually. And now we've got legal weed and, all kinds of good stuff like that. So, maybe I'm being a little facile and cynical all at the same time there with that. Maybe music is Your
music changed me.
Okay.
Your music changed me.
Right.
And saved me on some levels. And now I'm passing it on to the next generation. Because I think I talked about you with my grade 7s today.
Oh my goodness!
What?
I
did.
I don't think you should do that.
Ellen,
that is ill-advised. Do not do that. Don't talk to your grade 7s about Bung.
I'll tell you something funny that happened when my oldest son was very little. He was I don't know, what was he like, 2 or 3 at the time, boys?
Yeah, 3.
What's that?
Which one was that?
Eli is my oldest.
Eli.
30 now.
Yeah, Eli.
And so when Eli was 3, we were sound checking for a show at the LSPU Hall. So none of the lights, just like the stark fluorescent lit, empty hall with us up on the riser, and me not able to find a babysitter. It's like, okay, Eli, sit here while Daddy goes up. And anyway, and I think it was Barry at the sound check, and so the boy started playing it. And I started singing in my growly thing, and he burst into tears. He started crying, said, Daddy, get away from those boys. And I explained to him, and then of course, then as a teenager, he actually quite dug it and shit.
Yeah.
Great. But I remember his initial reaction. I always think, a song is really good when kids like it. But in this case,
3's pretty young for that.
Oh no, I know. I think that it got a reaction anyway. Right?
So, we're coming close to the end now. Any questions or comments? Does anyone want to just start up? Okay.
So, what does look back at it now? What does growing up in St. John's in the late '80s, early '90s mean to you now, and the music scene? How did being in St. John's influence that? Now, I like Ellen said, I had a different experience growing up in Grand Falls, and we didn't have this type of scene in Grand Falls, and this is kind of, to me, it's a unique experience that all of you had collectively as fans and musicians. So, can you speak to that?
For me, I liked the fact that all of my favorite bands lived in my hometown. And I think that kind of started with going and seeing Dog Meat Barbecue, mid '80s, where like I like the Ramones and all that stuff, and the Clash and whatnot. And then I saw Dog Meat play, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like that. Only they're talking about friggin' Harvey Road or whatever, and like, you know, nobody has to pretend to be from London or New York or Paris or even Toronto. And we had this, we sort of turned inward. I felt, where it was, our whole thing was like, well, this is the best scene. I'm not interested in what you're doing in Toronto. It's not interesting to me. It's not interesting to me what's happening in Los Angeles. I don't care. This is this is the most important thing. And that went for everything. That went for theater. There was this huge cultural renaissance, and we go through it every now and again, but it's like we had at our disposal all of my favorite art and artists from, you know, all the disciplines, like within 20 minutes of my house. That's how it felt.
And they were playing and performing and putting up art all the time.
And often people, I mean, you think about Liz, right? Like where it's just like, okay, well, I'll do a theater show. Okay, well, I'll have a band. Okay, well, I'll do a dance piece. And she was far from the only one. And the scene was completely open to that idea. Completely open to that. Everybody does everything. Of course they do.
Yeah, I think we were encouraged to be multidisciplinary performance artists. I mean,
or starve to death. Yeah.
Well, that's right. Part of it's just trying to make a living as, you know, as a performing artist in this town. And yeah, you'll take whatever work you can get and generate all the projects you can, right? But yeah, no, I mean, I've seen you do stuff, you know, on stage and on screen and with bands and as an actor. Phil, the same thing. Does anybody remember Phil as Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I don't.
The stage.
Emblazoned.
You might not. It's all a haze to you. But I was.
I'm gonna quote you now, Phil. I said how after the show I went, how was that? And you said, well, I get to dress in lingerie and kill Jodie Richardson every night. It's every man's dream.
Yes, it's every man's dream. God. Or at least Phil's dream.
It was great.
Oh, dear.
I'll be honest, that is actually one of my dreams too. That's
Well, stick around, kid. I'm sure you'll get your chance.
Cool. Well, anything there coming for you, Arthur? How'd you feel about the video?
Sorry, what was that?
How did you feel about the video, Arthur?
Man, that was awesome. It was awesome. Right? And I'm not very gracious, so, you know, it was awesome.
He means it. He means it.
What?
I said he means it. You mean it.
What about not being gracious?
Yeah. No, about that it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I liked, Keith, that you had your sign, "Those Who Wait for 98" lit up on the sign. That was a clever touch in the video there.
What I liked was that it wasn't a direct rendition of what we did, right? You did your...
No, it was better. But
we had to be really creative trying to write.
Sorry, John. I told you I'm not very gracious. I'm going to stop here. It was great.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Well,
right?
No, it was fun.
Where was the ong? Right? You had the but where was the ong? Right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right? Right? It was part of what with us was lost with recording was the role, right? Like that.
It wasn't lost completely because the boys did allude to exactly that. No, there was a day.
No, absolutely, yeah.
You know, and I agree. I don't think we ever came off on record as much fun as we actually. But it was about a live thing. That's what I was saying before. It wasn't, you know, even about the music. It was about what we were doing with our friends and that, you know, that 150 to 400 people in the room that were sweating and stomping and going nuts and having a transformative, you know, energized experience just for the fuck of it.
Yep.
You know,
it was about, and I'm going to quote Ellen here, the throbbing motley mass.
Yes, it very much was about the throbbing motley mass. You know, And I was thinking too, there's something Sean was saying earlier that struck a bell with me was the thing about being like fans of so many of like, yeah, because I felt very much the same way in those days. I loved going out to see bands. Everybody was fucking good. You couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a kick-ass fucking band. And all these multi-shows where you could see 3 of them in a night or 4 for $5.
$3.
You know, $3, you know, stuff like that in these nice tight little rooms. And say, you know, between the LSPU hall and the 4 or 5 bars that suddenly, you know, from the LSPU hall to Solomon's. Remember playing Solomon's Gay Bar on the drag nights and stuff like that? That was as fun as fuck. I loved playing that place. And
until you wake
I don't know. It was a beautiful scene, but the idea of like we're talking about it being about the throbbing mass. Something I always thought about when I was singing with Bung was I always felt like a fan who got to jump up and sing with the band. You know what I mean? Like I was not a musician. I couldn't play a fucking lick. I couldn't really hold a note. I always kind of felt like a bit of a fraud and an imposter, but I really enjoyed it. And I think that was part of what helped. And I just completely let loose, like you say, and just let the moment kind of take me away. Right. And I hope that sort of, you know, I know, responded. It's like if I was willing to make that much of an ass of myself, standing up on a 10-inch high riser in front of a bunch of people, everybody else could. You know.
You guys,
we were happy to back you doing that.
Oh no, I had a ball. It was great. Just like let the music move you and just, you know, let it go, right? And it was fun. They were great days. I'd do it all over again in a fucking blink.
And I'd watch you
were the highlight of. You guys were definitely the highlight of the early days, especially when I was starting. Like if Bung were playing, it's like, yeah, I gotta go see it, or I want to play with them. I want to play that show. Right? It was always a good time, and yeah, we'll never.
It was always a good time. We got to play with like a lot of great bands, you know, over the years, be like right at the heart of the action. So, you know, I'm sorry we might have fucked up some of your nights there, Sean, but we also made some pretty fucking good nights together too. And I prefer to think of it that way instead.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent, guys. That was amazing.
Thanks,
I think we're gonna end it here.
Yeah, but there's only 2 minutes left. So
Cool.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Well, thanks. I look forward to seeing the finished product.
Yeah.
Nice seeing you again. Ellen,
Good
thanks. I
seeing all
haven't
you
heard
guys,
that
yeah.
song in a long time. That was
Thanks,
great.
John.
All for it at some point, sir.
All right.
yeah, we'd like to thank you all for
Awesome.
joining us tonight. It was
Thank you
great.
guys.
great to
Thank
see
you.
you.
It was
Thank you.
awesome.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Locals to local, we cover our own underground classics from our favorite time zone. Along with our guests, we'll take you back in time. It's the 709 Rewind with Richie and Brian.